called animated float action buttons. This is the exact package that we were looking for and will let us build what we were trying to build. Coming to the last feature that we were trying to add, the social media reaction button. So there is this category called chat block social media UI. And again, if you explore this category, yes, so there is this package called Flutter reaction button. And this will help us add that social media reaction button that we were looking to add. So let us now try to understand what happens when, say, you couldn't find your package that you were looking for on pubdev or even on fluttergems.dev. How do you go about in such a case? So in this case, what you do is you try to find the package nearest to your requirement and you try to contribute to it. So it is very important that you contribute to it before forking. So what you can do is you can select the package, you suggest enhancements to the package by raising an issue, and you send across your pull request post discussion with the project owner. It is very important that you fork the project only as a last resort, because the moment you fork the project, the entire responsibility of maintaining the forked project comes on you, which is a big responsibility. So say you couldn't find any package even closer to your requirement. So how do you go about in this case? So in this case, it is important that you might have to say, in this case, you have to release a new package. So what do? So when you are going to release a new package, it is very, very important to understand that your documentation needs to be rock solid. You need to have a very clear and concise README. So in simple words, you have to literally treat it like your Tinder profile. So yeah, say you can see two examples on the screen. You have a package called fcontrol and a package called URL launcher. Now, if you see, the README of URL launcher is concise and crisp. And just by reading the README, you can understand what URL launcher is trying to achieve. On the other hand, fcontrol just says a new Flutter plugin. Now, reading this, you will, as a developer or as a prospective user of the package, you are not able to derive any insight as to what the package does. And such packages have a very difficult time getting adoption. It is important. It is also important that your API is well documented so that people who want to make changes or understand things can understand it better. And secondly, you must always strive to add micro examples instead of a large monolith one. Because what happens is your project, your package might be offering a lot of features. But say as a prospective user, I might be looking to only use one or two of them. Now, if you have small micro examples, as a user, it becomes easier for me to understand and adopt them, rather than in case if you have given a large monolith example, most of the users will not be able to figure out, and this will lead to poor adoption of your package. Just releasing the package is not work done. Once you release the package, you also have to maintain the package. So your package is just not a piece of code. You have to treat it like a big responsibility. So for example, as you can see, most of the modern digital infrastructure is actually based on very small open source projects, which have been maintained by people since years. So you need to do testing and set up a CI/CD pipeline. Now you can do a unit testing where you say test a single function, method, or a class. You can do widget testing or component testing where you test a single widget. You should do integration testing where you say test a complete part or a very large part of the app. It is important that you set up automated testing using CI/CD tools. Now, these CI/CD tools are usually free for open source projects, and Travis CI is one of the most popular ones. You have other CI/CD tools as well, like Cyrus CI, Fledge, Fastlane, etc. So you also need to set up a release frequency for your package. Usually, major releases are done every quarter. You need to update your changelog.md with each new release, and you must list all your notable changes, like the new features that you have added in the package, what is the change in the existing functionality that the package offered, what are the soon to be removed features and how are you going to deprecate them, which features are you going to remove completely, what are the bugs that you have fixed, and what are the security updates that you have undertaken to combat any type of vulnerabilities that might be present. It is important that you become that you set up guidelines for repository contributors, and you can do that by adding a contributing.md file in your repository. You should respond to issues and all the pull requests, and it is important that you become a benevolent dictator for life and let the community shape the future of the package. So this is it from my side. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. You can follow me on Fluttergems and Ashita Prasad on Twitter. If there are any questions, you can mention them in the comments.
All right, it seems as Ashita had explained everything to the point, so the audience has no questions. So thank you so much, Ashita, for that info-packed session. We really enjoyed listening to you. We hope to meet you in the future sessions as well. So best of luck for your future
Thank you.
endeavors from GDG Sri Lanka and Colombo Flutter community. Thank you for joining us again.
Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next session will start soon on track A. Until then, please hang on. Thank you. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is track A of Flutter Festival Colombo 2022. So, moving on track A, the second session is a talk on the topic develop a design system using atomic design applied to Flutter. So, at the end of this session, you will be able to comprehensively understand how you can apply atomic design on Flutter. To deliver this talk, there is a talented speaker joining us. He is Daniel Herrera Sanchez, working as a senior front at Colombia, Colombia. Daniel absolutely loves to share his knowledge with the community. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on screen our second speaker on track A, Mr. Daniel Sanchez. Daniel, welcome to Flutter Festival Colombo 2022. We are absolutely thrilled to have you with us here, and we are excited to listen to you as well. So, without further ado, let's get on with your session. Over to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Daniel Herrera. I am from Colombia. It's very early in the morning here. It's the 5 in the morning. Then imagine. Well, we will start. I will share my screen. Mm, Give me a second. Yes. Okay. So today we will talking about how we can build in a design system using atomic design methodology in Flutter. My name is Daniel Herrera, but first we talking a little about me. I am a senior developer with more than 3 years of experience in Flutter and more than 5 years in front-end development. 2 years ago, I created the YouTube channel White Code, and in this channel, we talk about front-end development. The last year, I started a community in my city, and now we are more than 700 of members. I love writing articles. I love creating open source projects on GitHub, but definitely I love my cats. As you can see, Sushi is my cat, is my cat name, and he loves appears in any photo. So I currently work at Bancolombia, but what is Bancolombia? Bancolombia is one of the largest banks in Latin America and the largest in Colombia. We now have more than 40 millions of consumers and more than 5 millions are using applications built on Flutter. We improve the performance of our applications by more than 50% and improve our time to market by 80%. Seeing this success, seeing the success of Flutter, Bancolombia decided to support our community in the city and contribute more than 10 articles on Medium. But this was not always so. In 2019, we faced a significant challenge because we had the next product. When we began our analysis, the organization worked with different teams on the same digital elements. For example, a team was developing a button, and at the same time, another team should also do the same button on their application. To top it off, the design team verified both elements. We could go on like this. We needed to solve the following questions. How can we structure the implementation of our front-end components to be reused in all digital experience? And how we can join development and design teams forces to make elements look that the way we want? The answer of these questions is we needed a design system. But what is a design system? A design system, it is a set of elements that can be reused in different combinations, allowing a standardized digital interfaces to be implemented. For example, you can see in the screen blocks of Lego. Many people use these blocks to make complex structures, but are using the same blocks of the Legos. Or, or every single day, people are using design systems. For example, imagine we are going to prepare a sandwich. Although we use the same bread, some similar ingredients, we can make different appetizers using the same elements. However, the bread will still be bread even it is used for other things. The Flutter developers are using design system, for example, material design. All large companies needed a design system. Australian government, the Google, IBM, Colombia. Then we understand I needed a design system. The next question is how we can develop a design system. Well, we find a methodology called atomic design. We decided this methodology to implement our design system. Brad Frost is the creator, explaining that we must to divide our digital experience into the following elements. Let's start with the atoms. What are the atoms? Atoms are components that cannot be divided into smaller elements. Give me a second. For example, a button, a baron, and input are an atom. The next component are the molecules. When you merge atoms, you can build molecules. Molecules are functional units of several atoms, but they don't have multiple responsibilities. For instance, an icon, a text, and a button inside a car are a modal, and it is a molecule because it retains a single responsibility. Or in my screen, I show an input and a button. When we merge these two components, we build a search button. The next component are the organisms. The organisms are elements composed of the union of several molecules and atoms. These can have different responsibilities and generate multiple events. And an example would be the header, navbar, sliders, etc. The next are the templates. The templates define the order and configure the arrangements of the elements. For example, in Flutter, we are using all our solutions a template. This widget names is scaffold. The scaffold is a template. Next are the pages. The pages are different screens exposed to the end user. You can centralize your common screens in this layer. But we still had a problem. How could we make the colors, shadows, animations, fonts, and iconographies use it along with the whole project standard? Well, we built two new layers, the tokens layer and the foundation layer. In the tokens layer, you can find the colors, the animations, the shadows, and the typographies. But the advantage is changing some color of the mark, font, shadow, or animation. All elements are updated automatically with the new values. Why? Because in the foundation layer, the components are correlated with the tokens. Yes? Right? Then we establish a bridge between the token and the widget definition in the foundation layer. Let's see the code. I will share my project. Okay. I built this example at Atomic Design. Uh, Give me a second. This is this design system, white code design system. I, if you, as you can see, I have the next folders with the la, with the layers. For example, the tokens, the foundations, the atoms, molecules, organisms, pages, and templates. This is a package of Flutter. You can create any package with the command Flutter create template package. In this case, I arrange my package in these layers. As you can see, the tokens layer, give me a second, the tokens layer, not only the team, the design team can define your organization's tokens, is the only ones can do it. The developer only consolidates the information of the design team in this file. You can define your colors, typography, spacing, shadows, and sizes in the tokens layer. So, as you can see, the tokens are not associated with this any component. You don't see H1 color, you don't see a button color, no. The tokens only have definitions. A status danger, a status info, background arena, background dark, background white. But in the foundation layer, let's see, we can correlate these definitions with the components. For example, primary color, their definition is white coat colors, brown primary. Then in the foundation layer, you can correlate the components with the definitions. And that is good because if you need change the color of any component, you only modify the foundation layer. And you can use a single definition for many components. In this layer, you can build another layer with the themes. The themes are using the foundation layer. As you can see, a light theme using only the foundation, colors, and typography. I can create any theme in this layer, light theme, dark theme, purple theme, any theme. Okay, when we finish to create the tokens layer and the foundation layer, we can start with atoms. The atoms, as you can see, depends only of the foundation layer. For example, the wine code separated depends of the foundation sizes and defines a standardized is a size of the separation between the components. In atoms, I can build something elements that not depends of the foundation. For example, white code asset image. But molecules depends of atoms and foundations. For example, Wacom card title. In this widget, we can depend of atoms and foundation layer, as you can see. And the next one, the organisms, we have the list of cards. In this case, we depends of the molecules and foundation layer of if we need of the atoms. This widget show a list of white code card type. The next one is the templates. This is important. I forgot to tell you, but you need to define visual models correlated with the component in some situations. It is a not bad practice. In this template, I create show info detail. This model are correlated with the input of the show info template. It's normal. You can do it. Show info template depends on molecules, atoms, organisms. You can depend in of the inner layers, and it's the same in the pages. In the pages layer, you can define your standard pages that don't allow changes. They are used as defined by the design team. In many applications, they are repeat pages so that you can centralize them in this layer. For example, the page that notifies the user that their transaction was completed successfully, like this, success transaction. Okay. But if you have a really good design system, you need having a good showcase. Then I built a showcase example app in this folder in app. As you can see in the showcase, you see the foundation layer and the content. For example, the typography, the colors in this foundation, the atoms. Then you can see the wine code as an image, and the developer can see, oh, this is the wine code asset image. I can use this widget when I need render an image for an asset. It's amazing. And they can see the code to implement this widget in the showcase. For example, I need to implement the asset image. Then I go to screens, next and atoms, asset image, and I see how I can implement a one code asset image. Well, it's the same of all elements, molecules, and then I can see this component, use this widget when you need a clickable card. The important is you having a good showcase. Why? When you build a package, you needed the developers to fall in love with your solution. And in this case, they want to contribute to doing your project. So it will help if you create a showcase with all your widgets. In large company like Bancolombia, we have a robust solution to show our developers the components and the code they needed to implement the widgets in application. For example, I can show this page, showcase. We have a website with our showcase. Give me a second. In this page, the developers can see the components and are separated in the layers, atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. And they can see, I need a button. Then this is the definition of design team, uh, the definition of develop, accessibility, and some examples in Angular technology and the Flutter technology, and they can see, okay, I need to implement this code to use my button. Okay. Finally, I want to show this. This project built by the Winecode community. If you are going to use it, please reference the original project in your build. You are free to use and contribute the content of this project even for monetary purposes. I will share with you in the chat this project and an article I wrote about this topic. Well, I finish here with my interview with my session. Give me a second. I share with you the article and the project. Give me a second. Uh, I, uh, this is the article, but please share this. And the GitHub project is this. GitHub. If anyone have any question, please write in the chat and I will try to solve your questions. Okay, I finish here. See you later and thanks for your help and your attention. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanchez, for that wonderful session. So we surely enjoyed your talk thoroughly, to bits actually, and the Google Developer Group and the Colombo Flutter community wishes you all the very best for your future endeavors. We wish to collaborate with you in our future events as well. So thank you again for joining us. Have a good day, Mr. Sanchez. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on track A. For the third session, we have another wonderful speaker joining us. She will be joining us in a few moments. So until then, please uh, keep on hanging with us. You can also check out the track B on the other live stream link in the same Google GDG YouTube channel, so you can check track B and come to track A as well. We will be starting in a short while. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to track A after the break. So, moving on with track A for the next session, we have Miss Neha Singh joining us at the moment. She is a programmer analyst at Device, and she is a Flutter developer, a technical writer, and also an instructor at Udemy with more than 100,000 students following her. So, ladies and gentlemen, she will speak on Superbase with Flutter. So, without further ado, let's welcome on screen Miss Snehal Singh. Miss Singh, we are super excited to have you with us here, and we are excited to listen to you as well. So, without further ado, let's get on with your session. Over to you.
Thanks, Trivida, for a great introduction. So, before moving further, I will tell about the company in which I am working. So, Device is a pro code platform that is helping developers to reduce their developing time. So, you can use Device to reduce your workload. So, here, going with my today's session. So, can you wait? Yeah, so let's switch to the yeah. So can you all see my screen? Yeah, so here with this with today's presentation, that is Superbase with Flutter. So what before moving further, let's see the agenda of today's session. So these are the agenda that is which we are going to cover in today's session. That is what is Superbase, what Superbase offers, how Superbase is different from Firebase, and the Superbase pricing plans for developer, enterprise, and other developer. And at end, we will create a quick start project for Superbase with Flutter. So let's start. So what is Superbase? So Superbase is actually a Firebase open source alternative. So it helps the developer to create their entire product within several minutes. Superbase provides all the backend services which we need for our product. Now, what Superbase actually offers for our product development? So first feature is database. So whenever you will create any new application in Superbase, they will provide Postgre database in which the features are table view. So there is no need to be any expert for understanding the database in the Superbase platform. So you can easily use the table view to understand the your data and all. And you can also describe the relationships between different columns and all. And also you can clone tables, like you can create the duplicates of one single table. You can create multiple table and can describe the relationship between them. And you also have a SQL editor in which you can run your queries, and you can also save your favorite queries for the later one. Now, the second one is authentication and authorization. So you can set the rules for what kind of role or task can a particular user can do with your database. And Superbase also provide different auth providers along with normal authentications like email, password, phone login, and along with that, the auth providers can be like Facebook, Google, GitHub. You can use that as well. Now the third one is edge functions. So here the edge function, you can create any edge functions to listen your to the webhooks, or you can also use that this edge functions for interacting with third party libraries like Stripe and all. And the fourth one is storage. So you can create multiple buckets inside the platform, and you can store your files, folders, so that you can access them at later one. You also get auto generated APIs so that you can use it for your applications and then perform various queries and can perform different operations. Now you can also observe the interaction of your user with your application, that what steps they are doing and what are their breakpoints in your application, and we will all see that in our quick start project. Now, the third topic is how Superbase differs from Firebase. So, as I have already mentioned, that Superbase is a open source alternative of Firebase, but there is also some difference from Firebase. So, you can import your pre-existing data, like you can import your CSV file or spreadsheet of your earlier application into Superbase, and then you can use your previous database inside this platform, which is not possible in Firebase. And the second one is relational database, that is PostgreSQL. So in Firebase, we already know that it provides a NoSQL database, and in that the relation to define relationships and all is not possible. Now the main part is data migration. So for a company, for a big company, the main problem is how to migrate their old data of any application to a new one. So you can easily do it using Firebase, sorry, Superbase. And the last one and the most important one is open source, that Superbase is an open source alternative. So if you are finding any confusion, or if you want like some feature is not working proper and all, then you can easily go to the, like for Flutter, you can check their repository, or and then you can change the things and can do a PR and all. Now, Superbase pricing plan. So for free plan, they are only providing 2 projects per developer. So you can create only 2 projects in their platform in under the free plan, and you can get the pro plan or the enterprise plan for your company. Now let's start with our Superbase integration with Flutter. So I will use the quick start Superbase doc for creating a demo project. So here you can find a quick start Flutter guide on the platform, on the doc platform of Superbase. So from here you can see the steps that is to be done for creating a quick start project using Superbase for Flutter. So here you can see that you have to first create one project in a Superbase platform. So for that you have to come to app.superbase.io, and then you have to create one new project. Now for free plan you can maximum create 2 projects, and you have if you have already accessed that limit, then you have to go with the pro plan or any other plan, or you can also delete your old projects. So here I am going to create one Superbase quick start application, going to give a password, and will create one new project. So here my new project is created, and they are setting up my projects. So in this way you can create a project in the Superbase panel. Now here uh, we are going to create one new project for of Flutter. So I have already created one project. Here you can see I have created the project and defined the structure of this project. And now we are going to add the Superbase package. So here I am copying this command and going to paste it inside the terminal. So just this command will add the Superbase Flutter library inside your project. And after that you have to hit flutter pub get to install the dependency. Now you can see that you have to set up deep links so that the features like magic links or auth can work properly. So for that, we have to copy this deep link and have to paste it under the authentication. So here inside your project, you will find the authentication part, and here you can paste the deep link that you have copied from the quick start Flutter guide. So here paste that deep link, hit the save button to save this additional redirect URL. So after that, we are going to, now we have to add intent filter inside our Android manifest file for enabling the deep link which we have entered inside the panel. So for that, you have to copy this intent filter and then you have to paste it inside the Android manifest.xml for Android. For iOS, you can copy this CF bundle URL types and can paste it inside the info list. And for web, there is no additional configuration. You can directly go without adding any intent filter. Now, before adding, I will just hit flutter pub get to install the dependency, and then we'll move for pasting the intent filter inside the Android manifest file. So here you can paste the copied intent filter here. So I haven't copied it properly. Yeah. So in this way, you can add the intent filter inside the Android manifest file so that the deep link work properly. Now we are going to close this Android folder and we'll go to the next step. So here, after adding the intent filter, we are going to create, we are going to add the URL and NN key that we will get from the Superbase platform. So before that, I'm going to copy this function and will replace my main.dart main function with this. So here is my default main function, and I'm going to replace it with this. Also, I'm going to remove this template class. And now here you have to import the dependency of Superbase. So we are good to go with the next step. So before moving further, we have to copy our URL and NN key. So for that, you can go back inside API. You can find your project URL from here and the public NN key from here. So first I'm going to copy the URL, going to replace it here, and then NN key. So these are required for accessing the Superbase project inside your Flutter application. So in this way, you can initialize your Superbase instance inside your Flutter application. Now moving to the next step. Now we are going to create auth state and auth required state. So why this auth state and auth required state is required? So whenever an user authenticate your application, after that, where you are going to navigate it inside your application. Like here, you can see on that on authenticated, you want to move a user to an account page, and if a user is unauthenticated, then you want it to move to the login page. So the main purpose of this auth state is to redirect your authenticated and unauthenticated user. So I'm going to copy this auth state file, going to create one dat class. inside the component. I'm going to copy the code. Now here you can see one error of constant file because I haven't added it. So I'm going to see this error unless and until I will add that file. So after adding this auth state, we are going to add the auth required state. So just copy this and you can create one new file inside the component, that is auth required state, and going to paste it. Yeah, so we have done with two files, and after that we are going to add constant file which have the show error snake bar. So whenever any error occurred inside your application, so it will show this snake bar with the error message, so you get a proper idea of what's happening inside the project. So I'm going to paste it inside the utils folder. So here we have added the constant file, and there is the error that I have done spelling mistake in the file name. That's why it is showing the error. So here I have missed S. So I'm going to add it, and now this error will gone. Now after moving further, we have to set up the splash screen and the login and account screen. So I will copy the splash screen code from this blog and going to paste it inside my pages folder. Now we'll create splash page. I'm going to paste it. After that, I am going to copy the login page code. So you can see how for a quick start project, you can directly come to this documentation, integrate the code and see what happening for integration of Superbase with Flutter. So here I'm going to create login page. I'm going to copy the code, and after that I'm going to create the account page. So here is the account page. Just going to copy the code. We'll paste it here. So we have done with all the pages integration and the required auth states. So after completing this, all we need is to link all these pages with our main file. So for that, I'm going to copy the main launching part. So I have already copied the above one. So I'm only going to copy the remaining part. So here I have copied my app class, and then we'll add the dependency, input. So we have imported all the files and we have copied all the pages and the auth state. So we are good to go to run our quick start application and see how it will going to work. So for that, For running it inside your Android application or iOS application, you can use the command flutter run. And for you running it on the web server, you can use this command. So I am going to run it inside web server. So I have copied that command, going to paste, and will hit enter. Now we will see what we have done. So here you can see that we have created three pages: splash page, login page, and account page. So the main screen will be the splash page, and the next page will be the login page. That will be redirect from the splash page. Now inside this splash page, you can see that we have used the magic link authentication feature for our application, and we have created word text editing controller and passing the text that will be entered by the user, and then going to use the magic link auth options and adding the deep link that we have provided inside our Superbase project. So you can now click on this link and can see the application. So just click on this link. Here is a quick start application of Superbase integration with Flutter. So you can see what we have created. Now here you can see one message that no access token detected. So at first we are directly moving to login page. So any user is not there, and we haven't clicked on this send magic link. So initially there will be no access token. So here we are going to provide the email where we are going to get the magic link for login. So here I have entered my email address, and now I can see that secure email for magic link. So the magic link will be sent to my email address. So before showing that to you, I will show you that what you will get on the panel side. So here you can see, you can click on this authentication, go inside the user, and you can see the user data that that their email address that they have entered. So here I have entered this email address, my detail, last sign in. So here you can see the status that the user haven't yet verified their email, and you can also see the user UID. Also you can see, you can find the other auth providers which I have mentioned earlier. So here the external auth providers are there that you can integrate inside your Flutter application. So you will find various auth providers and you can enable it. Now below you can get the details of my attempt of login. So here is my identity, or you can say my email address, my action, that is user confirmation request I have applied. Now I'm going to confirm my sign in process. So here I'm going to click this magic link. So here you can click on this link and you will redirect to your login page, and you can see the status of that inside this. So you have to click this refresh, and you can see that user signed up have implemented. So I have confirmed my email address. So here the status has been changed. So in this way you can observe the track of your users, and here also you can now get the last sign in data. So now I am going to my application again, and now the account page should be appeared. Yeah, so here you can see that an account page has been appeared with the two fields of username and website that we have created from the quick start guide. So as I haven't added any details of my profile, so you can see the empty details. If you will add the details, it will save to the your Superbase project, and for that you can integrate the database and so on. So here in quick start project you can find one bonus step, that is profile photo integration. So you can use the storage feature of Superbase to store profile photos of your user, and then you can move the further steps for that. I have implemented this quick start until this process. So this was one small quick start demo of Superbase integration with Flutter. So you can see there are many other packages available inside the pub.dev for integration of various features of Superbase with Flutter. So here you can find different packages on the pub.dev. For Postgre, you can find the Postgres Dart. For GoTo, you can use this package. For real time, you can use this, and so on. Now, these are the resources that you can use for implementing Superbase for a Flutter application. You can go to their documentation. You can use this app.superbase.io for creating a Superbase project and directly integrate it with your application. You can also refer this quick start guide which I have used for this session. And you can also find my one of the project on Dev library, where I have implemented various auth providers. Here I have demonstrated the magic link which was in the quick start guide, but you can also see my project on Dev library, where I have implemented the other auth provider as well. So thank you for this, for being an awesome audience and seeing this session. So if you are having any questions, I'm here to help you. So if you're having any questions regarding Superbase or how to integrate it with your Flutter application, or you have earlier tried it and have failed for that, so you can ask that question. I will happy to help you. Or you can also reach out to me on my Twitter handle @snahalas_, and on LinkedIn and other platform as well. Okay, so I am not getting any questions. Yeah, so I am now good to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it seems as if Nehal described and explained everything perfectly so that no one has any questions. So, Snehal, thank you so much for that info-packed session on Superbase with Flutter. I'm sure everyone in the audience enjoyed it to bits. So, the Google Developers Group Sri Lanka, together with the Colombo Flutter community, wishes you all the very best for your future endeavors. We hope to join, collaborate with you in our future sessions as well. So, thank you for joining with us. All right,
Thank you.
ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, we have another session remaining on track A. So until we begin in a few moments, please hang on. And gentlemen, welcome back to track A. So we are progressively nearing the end of Flutter Festival Colombo 2022. So we are about to start the fourth and the final session on track A on the topic creating beautiful audio waveforms in Flutter. To deliver this talk, we have our fourth and the final speaker joining us at the moment. That is Mr. Ruthvik Tak. So Mr. Ruthvik Tak is a Flutter freelance developer, and he loves working with Flutter, building nice, intuitive apps, and also he loves to build cool things. On a side note, he is a huge music and an animations fan. So Mr. Ruthvik Tak, we are super happy to have you with us here on Flutter Festival Colombo 2022, and we are super excited to listen to you. So without further ado, let's start on with your session. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Triadya. I'm really happy to be here to speak on one of the favorite topics. So yeah, let's get started on that. My screen and audio is fine, right? So yes. Hey everyone. I'm Ruthvik, and today we are going to talk about creating beautiful audio waveforms in your Flutter apps. So let's get started. Before we start, a little bit about me. Who am I? I'm from India, and I've been working with Flutter since like start of 2020. And for this past almost 2 years, I've been working as a Flutter freelance dev. I'm also the author of the Flutter Audio Waveforms package, and also a technical writer. In my free time, I like to write about building cool UIs, animations, and other interesting stuff in the app development. And last thing is that I like to listen to music a lot, and that's like one of the reasons why this today's talk is happening. So I hope you guys will enjoy it. Before we start, first let's talk a little about where this audio waveforms that we are going to talk about are used. Now, you may have gone through the music applications like SoundCloud and Audio Rack. Now, these music applications use these audio visualizations to enhance the user experience. Other apps like video and audio editing apps like Descript and Adobe, they have this kind of visualizations in their applications, which help the editors to edit the audios really easily, because they can see the highs and lows, the pitches of the audio very quickly and edit it accordingly. So a little overview of the talk of what we are going to discuss today. First of all, we are going to understand what the audio is and how do computers understand it. Second is extracting the waveform data of the audio that we need to visualize the waveforms. Third is about processing the data, because we won't be directly using the extracted data. We are going to process it so that it's easier for us to handle it in visualization. And last, we are going to visualize this data in Flutter, and that's one of the most interesting part of this talk. So let's start. First of all, understanding audio. Now, we as human beings, when it comes to us understanding audio, we see it as a sound wave that is curved. But when we talk about computers, it's not the same. They understand it a little bit differently. For them, it's just another data point. So they understand it through a process called sampling. Now, what is sampling here? Sampling is a process of capturing the amplitudes of a sound wave at any point in time. And the number of samples that we capture per second is known as the sampling rate, which is usually between the 44 or 48,000 hertz. Another important thing to note down here that will be helpful in our visualization is that these samples that we captured are captured at equal intervals in times. That means if our sampling rate is, let's say, 48,000 hertz, then we would be capturing samples at 1 by 48,000 part of every second. So once we have this sound wave process or sample, then we either store this data sample points or transmit them for further use. Now let's talk about how we are going to extract this waveform data from audio files. Now for this extraction, we are going to make use of an open source program called Audio Waveforms from BBC. We'll take a look at that right now. So as you can see, it's an C++ program that you can help to generate this waveform data. And it also helps you to render the waveform images directly if you want that. But in our case, we would be using it to generate the waveform data. About the installation of the program, as you can see, the program is supported on different operating systems like Ubuntu, CentOS, Mac, Windows, and also has Docker image on it.
Quick, there's a small interruption from our side. Your slides, they're not visible for us
Oh,
still.
the slides are not visible. Oh, just a second. Hmm. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, yes. Thank you. It's all right
Uh,
now.
should I just start over again? Because I think we missed a lot.
As you
Oh,
please, it's up to you. If you feel comfortable, you can start over again.
yeah, sure. I mean, we are not that much far away. We could start over. So yes, I will just start from this slide. First of all, where these audio waveforms that we are going to talk about are used. Now, these are used in various music applications like SoundCloud and Audio Rack. They use it to enhance the user experience, and other applications like Descript and Adobe. They use it. They use these visualizations in their video and audio editing applications to help the editors edit the audio very easily. Next up is the overview. As we talk about, we are going to understand the audio, extract the data that we need, process it, and visualize it. Understanding audio. So I will go through this part really quickly about sampling. Now, how do computers understand it? Computers understand the audio by a process called sampling, and in sampling, we capture these amplitudes of a sound wave at any given point in time. Now, once we have these sample points calculated, we either store them or transmit them for any further use. Now, to extract the waveform data from an audio file, what we are going to use an open source program called Audio Waveform from BBC. We'll take a look at that now. Okay, so this is an C++ program. As you can see, it can be used to get that waveform data and render the images directly. And the installation of the program is really easy. It's available for multiple operating systems like Ubuntu, CentOS, Linux, Macs, and Windows. About the usage of the program, it's really simple. Once you got the program installed on your computer, you can just to the terminal type this command audio waveforms. It takes the basic usage of it is that you give it an input path for the audio file that you want to convert, and the output path for the waveform data. Once you do that, you will get a JSON file that looks something like this on the right hand side that I have right now. Some of the things I will go over through here, what we have in the data. First of all, we have here something called channels. What are channels here? Channels are basically the audio sources that are capturing these sample points that we talked about in earlier. Next is the length. It's the length of the waveform data that we have, and it is in number of minimum and maximum value pairs per channel. Sample rate is basically the samples that we calculate every second, and the bits, it's about how the quality of the data that we are capturing is. Like with the 16 bit, if we are capturing at a 16 bit, then that means the maximum amplitude that we are able to capture for any sound wave would be equal to almost around 65,000. But if we increase the bits, then that means we are going to capture amplitudes that are at much higher levels, so just so they are maintaining the original quality of the sound. And the last is the data. These are the sample points that we are going to use to visualize the waveform. Next up is the processing this sample points. Now this is a two-way process. First of all, we are going to average down our data sample list, and next is the normalizing it. In averaging, what we are going to do is, as you know, that the sample list that we get from the conversion is really huge. I mean, there are like sample points are in numbers of like thousands, but we don't want all of those. So for that, what we do is divide our original sample list in certain blocks, And then we go through each block and calculate the average of the sample points within those blocks and add them to our new list, that is the filtered data. And once we do that, second step is about normalizing the data. In normalizing, what we are going to do is we are going to map the values from our filtered data list within a value from -1 to 1. Why -1 to 1? Because it makes it a little bit easier for us to deal with visualizations when we are visualizing this waveform. Okay. Last is now we are going to try to visualize this waveform. But before we go dive into the code, a little bit about painting in Flutter. So as you may know that everything you see in the Flutter app is basically painted. Each and every pixel is painted, and we have a full control over it. Now these paintings are drawn over what we call a canvas, and but when you are trying to paint something in Flutter by yourself, then you will come across these two widgets. First of all is the custom paint, and the second is a custom painter class. Now custom paint is what provides you with a canvas that you can use to draw your drawings or paint them, and custom painter basically handles your drawing operations. So let's now dive into the code. I hope you guys are able to see my screen is visible, right? Are you guys able to see the VS Code? Mm. Okay, just a second. I'm not sure if the VS Code is visible or not to you guys. Is it visible?
Yes, Ruthvik, it's visible.
Yeah, thanks. That's really. So yeah, I got a sample application running here, which at the moment doesn't do anything special. It just selects from different musics that I have right now. If we take a look at the code, then right now in our build method, we don't have anything special. It's just this row that has this three buttons that sets the music file that we are going to visualize the waveform from. And we have here one of the important function here called parse data. Now what it is doing is it is loading the waveform data file based on our selected music and then decoding it with the JSON decoder. And finally, we are taking the raw samples from that data and passing them to our processor. The processor here, sorry, the processor here is doing the two things that we earlier talked about. It is first averaging down these raw samples from literally thousands to something that we define. Like right here, I defined that I want 256 sample points in my final list. So based on that, it will average down that list. And lastly, it is going to normalize it within a value from -1 to 1. Once we got our process samples, we are going to set our samples to those newly obtained ones. Now let's try to visualize this waveform. For that, as I talked earlier, we are going to make use of something called custom paint here. So I've got that here. Custom paint takes in an argument for custom painter. Now, right now we don't have our painter implemented here, but our painter is going to take in the sample list that we get. So I'm just going to write that down first here. And second thing, we are going to give our canvas or the custom paint up at some size. Now this size, for the size, we are going to set the width to, we are going to set the width to the maximum that we can get of the device. And the height is going to set to 300. So now let's implement our my waveform painter here. So it's going to be a class that is going to extend to a custom painter, which will help us to draw this waveforms. Now, once you extend to a custom painter, you need to override two methods here. First is the paint method, and second is the should repent method. Now, paint method is basically where you do your drawing operations, like where you describe what you want to draw and how you want to draw, and Flutter draws that for you. And should repent basically decides whether you want to redraw your drawings or not. If there's any changing variable in your painting, whenever that variable changes, whether you want to redraw your drawings or not. So for the moment, we are just going to return true here. Now in our painting operations, let's first define something called a paint or a brush. Like as you know, like when you want to draw something, you need a brush, right? So for that, we are going to define our paint brush here with the help of the paint object. Now this paint object allows us to set the style for drawing, the color for our drawings, and the stroke width and other properties. So for now, what we are going to do, we are going to set the style for our drawing to be a painting style dot stroke and give it a color of colors dot blue and set the stroke width to something like 2.0, right? Now, once we do that, now what we want to do is we want to iterate through our sample points and create a type of waveform called Polygon Waveform. Now, to help you visualize it a little better, I've got an image here of just that Polygon Waveform, which we are going to create something just like this right now. To do that, first of all, we need to take in the sample points within our painter. Now, for that, let me define the painter for our constructor for our waveform painter. It is going to be a named constructor. The samples are going to be a list of doubles. Let me make this required. Okay. And yes, let me pass this sample points. Okay, I think we had already passed the sample points here to our painter. Next thing we want to do is we want to loop through our sample points and basically draw a line that connects these sample points. As you can see in this example, this whole waveform is basically a single line that is connecting the sample points along the x and y axis. To do this, we are going to make use of something called path. What is path here? Path here provides us with the ability to draw lines or connect lines through various points. Let's just loop through our samples list first. And first of all, we need to calculate x and y coordinates for our points here. And we are going to draw this with the help of line to function. We are going to draw this point. Now to calculate the x and y coordinate, what we are going to do, we first want to calculate something called sample width. Now what is sample width here? Just a second. Now, as I told you earlier, the moment at which we are capturing the samples, they are captured at equal intervals in time. Now, considering that the time was the x-axis, these sample points are placed along the x-axis at equidistance from each other. So if you want to calculate the distance between any two consecutive points, then what we can do is take the width of our canvas and divide it by the total number of samples we have. And that gives us the sample width, that is the distance between any two consecutive points. To calculate the x-axis, what we are going to do is take the sample width and multiply it by the index of that sample, that is I here. And to calculate the y is basically the amplitude of our sound wave at that point, and that is directly the value at that index. Now this value is going to be within a range from -1 to 1, and that is really quite small. I mean, so while visualizing, it would be really small on the graph. So what we are going to do is multiply our height by the height of our canvas, or like half of the height of our canvas, whatever is good for you. And we are going to draw the line to those x and y coordinates. Now to get this path on our canvas, we are going to make use of the canvas objects, which provides us with a helpful method called dot draw path, which takes in the path that we want to draw and a paintbrush that defines the color for it and the stroke width for it. Now, if we take a look at our app now, then we can see that we have here an audio waveform that represents the waveform data for the particular music file. If I change the music file, then you can see depending on the change samples data, we are drawing a different audio waveform. Okay, so this was one of the type of waveform that you can draw. Now, instead of just drawing a simple line, why don't we draw a rectangle, which is more like beautiful, let's say. So to draw a rectangle waveform, which looks something like this, we are going to draw rectangles at those points. What we are going to do is, first of all, let me comment these things out. We won't be making use of path now, but what we are going to do is use a method that is provided through the canvas called draw rectangle, which we can use to draw rectangle at those coordinates. Now I am going to get the rectangle constructed here from one of the constructors that takes in the left and top edges of where we want to draw the rectangle, the width for it, and the height for it. Now the left edge is going to be the x-axis, the distance of it along the x-axis. The top is going to be something, let's say, size dot height by 2, that is in the center of our canvas. The width for it, we can set it to sample weight that we calculated earlier, and the height would be the its height along the y-axis, and we'll provide the paintbrush here that we defined earlier. So once we do that, now let's take a look at our app, and you can see now instead of having a line, we have rectangles drawn at those particular points, which looks more beautiful. You can play around with this by changing the samples that you are generating. Right now we are calculating 256 samples, but you can, let's say, you want 1000 samples. If you hot restart, then you can see that our samples are updated as well, and the waveform also updates. Now this was a really simple example of how you can visualize the different waveforms using custom painter and the things it offers. The next step is what I want to show you the demo of the package that I've been working for quite a while now, which take these visualizations to the next level. Okay, so let me introduce you the Flutter audio waveforms. It is an UI library for creating audio visualizations and with a lot of customization options for you. Now, at the moment, the package supports 4 different kinds of visualizations. That is the polygon, rectangle waveform, as you can see, a squiggly waveform, and a curved polygon, which is just like the polygon, but with like sharp edges instead having a round edges instead of a sharp edges. Now, each of these waveforms comes with different customization option depending on its type. Now, the regular ones are like you can change the color for your waveforms, as you can see. Give it a different gradient to your waveforms if you like. Make your waveform absolute. That means the waveforms are drawn in one absolute direction. And you can either invert them, which basically flips your waveform. Now you can change the painting style for your waveforms as well. Earlier that you saw that we were making use of the painting style dot stroke to draw our waveform. But if you change it to fill, you can see we get a really nice effect here, which fills the gap between our drawn waveform. For the rectangle waveform as well, we get tons of other customization options, like you can change the gradient for it, make it absolute, make your waveform centered, which draws your waveform along the center of your canvas, and also make your, instead of drawing rectangles, sharp rectangles, you can draw rounded rectangles as well. Just like this, different waveforms have different customizations available to them. Now, along with providing different customization options for static waveform, the package also offers a support for showing an active track for your playing audio. Now, let me just tell you that by demonstrating it. So I'll play one of the music here, and you can see that an active waveform is drawn over your inactive waveform. Now, this is a really nice cool effect that can be used in music applications when you want to show an active waveform. So the users get the idea of where the audio is at any given point in time. So now let's, if we talk about the code, if we jump right into the code of the package, I will just go over the painting operations of this waveform because there's quite a lot of stuff in the package, and there's a lot of abstraction that will take a lot of time to cover. So we'll just take a look into how these painting operations are done for this different audio waveform. Now, if we talk about the Polygon waveform, then you can see in the constructor, we are basically taking in the sample list and the different arguments for the customization options that we have, like gradient, the style. The paint process is basically the same. We have our paintbrush defined here with some style set and colors and a shader to help us give the gradient to our waveform. In our drawing phase, we are making use of path, and I'm handling here some edge cases that I came across while adding some of the customization options. But rest of the part is basically the same. At the last, we are passing this part to our canvas, and we get the polygon waveform for it. If we take a look at the implementation for the rectangle waveform in the package, then you can see it's the operations are pretty similar to what we were doing earlier. We had our paintbrush defined here. Now some extra variables defined for the customization options, like the borders around the rectangles, and some extra logic and refactoring to handle the customizations possible. So yes, I mean, that was a little bit of overview about how you can visualize these different waveforms in your Flutter apps using custom painter to visualize these sample points that you can extract from the audio. The operations for these different visualizations may differ, but the general process for it that is going to remain the same. First of all, you are going to get the waveform data from any audio file, and second is process it, and third is about visualizing it with the help of the custom painter. So yes, that was it about the today's talk about Flutter audio waveforms. uh, if you guys are curious about how some of the things are done in the package, like how some customization options are implemented, you can always check those out. There's some really nice implementation for some of the customizations. I'm currently working on this package, and I hope to receive some feedback on it if anyone would like to check it out. Okay, so with that said, I would like to conclude this today's talk about creating beautiful audio waveforms in Flutter. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and it was fun for me as well. So yes, let's. I'm open for any questions if you have, if anyone have any questions on today's topic. Okay. If you have any type of questions about processing this waveform data or extracting it or visualizing it, then feel free to ask them.
Ruthvik, we have one question from Ranula Times. He has asked for you to briefly explain the difference of provider and the river pod. And he asks what best suitable solution is there for industrial development. I suppose you can see it on the screen. We have displayed it.
Okay. Yeah, yes, right. Okay, that's actually not about the, but I mean, that's a little bit out of the our today's topic. But yeah, I will be happy to explain that. Um, Now, basically, provider and river pod are basically both are state management solutions, but the way they each one of them works is quite different. Now, uh, what is best for industrial development? Now that's the question that where the answer is actually depends on what you're looking for. Now what are your basically requirements for your applications, your team, what does your team prefers? So it depends on quite a lot of factors like that, what you're most comfortable with while developing. So there's no single option for it, and that it's a personal preference of what you whether to use provider or river pod. Both the packages are from the same author basically. So you would have to just go over what are your requirements for your application, and which package supports your requirements in the best way possible. Okay, so I hope that answers a little bit of what you are asking. But the answer is really it depends on what your use case is and how your application want to handle your state management is.
Thank you so much for that answer. It seems like that is the only question we have up till
Sure.
now. All right, so Ruthvik, we enjoyed your session to bits. It was super refreshing for us to.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining. All of us here at GDG, Sri Lanka, and the Colombo Flutter community deeply admire your enthusiasm in sharing your hard earned knowledge with the community. So thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also very much enjoyed the session and hope to be part of the community later on. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you. All
Yeah.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of Flutter Festival Colombo 2022. It was a great day filled with many informative and educative sessions. So we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did organizing it here. So we also hope to meet you again in another year, in the next year to be exact, with another Flutter Festival, another successful Flutter Festival just like this. So until then, please do stay safe. Signing off here from Flutter Festival Colombo 2022, I'm Trividalia Narachi. Have a good night.